70 degrees outside here in New York City.
I know, it's beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, well, let's not go that far. I went outside and there was rat blood all over the road because a rat had gotten hit by a scooter on a sidewalk.
You got to get to the east side.
I'm pretty sure there's rat blood on the east side.
No, all the rats stick to the west.
East side sucks. I mean, it does. No offense.
East side, B side, man.
I'm not going to continue along with that because I know what the response is, and we're not going to do it. Because that's not true either. This whole town blows, Carl, but everywhere does. That's the secret. Unless you're rich.
That's true.
At which point the world is your mega yachts ice skating rink.
If there's any regret in my life, not having no big regret would be my regret. This is episode Tree-toity of the Insert Credit Magazine, a show with 3 video game experts, 10 segments, and a horrible buzzer. I'm Alex Jaffe, and I'm sorry about the jokes I made about Irish people in the last episode. I took a bad premise and ran too far with it, and I understand that ironically intended bigotry is still bigotry. Frank, tell everyone what you think the best video game pasta shape is.
I like that we're now starting the episode with the apology segment.
Yeah, we should apologize at the top.
Yeah, we got to get it out of the way.
So the prompt is best video game pasta shape.
Yeah, the video gameiest pasta shape.
Because I'm Italian.
Wow, yeah.
God damn it. Well, that's been Insert Credit, everybody.
Is that what we're doing here? We're just moving on to who's the next target.
Oh, God.
Well, in that spirit, I, of course, have to go with the radiatore, which means radiator. These are pastas shaped vaguely like radiators.
Yeah.
Named because they look like radiators. And I say that because if I see a radiator in a video game, I'm going to try to smash it open and get what's inside.
That's true.
Oh, that's great.
Radiatore. Yeah, I don't mind that one. I'm Tim Rogers, and I will not apologize for the quote-unquote jokes about Irish people because we're going to get started on this right now. I did this particular bit in an unnameable East Coast city, and it, in the parlance of the comedian community, killed when there were many Irish people in attendance. And basically, it was going to involve me describing some aspects of Irish people, it quickly becoming apparent that I was discussing leprechauns, and then it quickly becoming even more apparent that I was discussing, in particular, Lucky the leprechaun from the cereal Lucky Charms. And then after that, it was going to become apparent that I said that I thought Lucky was in Smash, and that I thought Lucky from Lucky Charms was Link from Link in The Legend of Zelda.
No, that's good.
However, Brandon cuts it off with, I know some Irish people in real life. And then what, Alex Jaffe jumps to potato famine references?
Yeah, it's not good. It was a bad look.
You guys really know how to slam dunk the ERAL on the end of fun, like you're playing pin the tail on the donkey.
Yeah. No, that's all me.
What are we talking? Oh, it's nothing.
Oh, pasta shapes.
I mean, first of all, I've talked on this show before about being raised Catholic, right?
Yeah.
And I know I've also talked about how much I love pizza and pasta, but does anybody here confuse me for being Italian? No. What country do you think comes up? I know I've joked before about my 23andMe and my Ancestry.com coming up 25% redneck, 25% hillbilly, 25% white trash, 25% Okie. What goddamn ancestry you think comes up for me? I'll tell you what, it's the one every white person says comes up on March 17th every year.
Oh.
Except so I can't talk about it because it's trite, all right? I didn't go to Notre Dame, but my dad bought me a Notre Dame jacket while I was in college at IU.
Yeah.
Anyway, what are we talking about? Favorite video game pasta shapes?
Yeah, the video gameiest pasta shape.
I like a tagliatelle. Just a kind of a flat, sort of long pasta. You like that one?
That's a good one.
You ever have a fresh tagliatelle? Anybody here?
Yeah.
Ever have a fresh one?
Yeah, but usually they just give you the one. Like when you get a fresh one, it's like in the fancy restaurant where they're like, here's your one noodle. That was $50.
Yeah, I like a big old flat boy because it's just a whole lot. That's what I like. I like when the game just gives you all the stuff. That's why it's a tagliatelle. They gave you just a good old serving of stuff.
my upbringing experience, I'm always like, I don't know what I got. And then my mom, whenever some specific European holiday comes up, she's like, don't forget your whatever heritage. And I'm like, I got that.
Yeah. That's how they get you.
I have no idea.
That's how they get you.
Well, surely I don't have this one.
I know some Irish people in real life. That's a voice I refer to as my little boy voice.
I don't think that's exactly what I said. I don't think that's exactly what I said.
I know some Irish people in real life too, Brandon Sheffield.
I don't think that's
you think
what I
you're
said.
the only one who knows some Irish people in real life?
Yes.
Okay, maybe.
There's only 15 of them. It's a small island. So my favorite video gameiest pasta, I'm going to go with the rotini. And the reason I'm going to go with that is because, especially in the 80s, one of the coolest things you could do was make a tower that has like the infinite rotating thing. And you would make all the positions of the platform so it looks like it was 3D. So that's a very video gamey one IMO.
Rotini. You know, I would actually say that the most video gamey pasta shape is none of them because I don't let myself play any video games for fun, and I haven't let myself eat any pasta in over a year. So it's been almost 2 years since I've eaten pasta. How sad is that?
The obvious answer is the Super Marios, right? Like those they came in the can and everything.
Yeah.
Cheerios. I mean SpaghettiOs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you imagine pouring some tomato sauce on some Cheerios?
Somebody's done it.
Yeah.
To me, Cheerio.
Spacheerios.
Kind of a brain accident needs to occur for that. Can you imagine eating a bowl of Oops All Berries Crunch Berry cereal with, instead of milk, spaghetti sauce?
I'm imagining it. I don't
Somebody
like it.
try that and feel free to not tell me. So while we're apologizing for things from the previous episode of the show, just want everyone to know that at the end of the show last week, when I made the recommendation that you purchase Xi'an Famous Foods chili oil and crisps from xi'anfoods.com from their shop.
Do. Are you going to apologize?
No.
Are we canceling Xi'an Fine Foods?
I'm gonna apologize for leading more than 12 people to think that I was asking them to recommend me a different chili oil. No.
I saw this. Oh my
I'm
Lord.
45 goddarn years old. I hate almost all food I've ever eaten because I'm a freak. The foods I like, I hold dear. I'm not going to recommend you a food item if I'm not 100,000% serious about it. I've tried a lot of chili oils. I've been to China. Okay. Do I sound like a guy who can't speak Chinese? Of course, I've had Chinese chili oils in China. No big deal. I picked the one I like because it's my favorite one.
I'm on board with that.
And that's the one I'm recommending. I'm apologizing for leading somebody to think that I wasn't serious about it.
I think we should take some time at the start of this episode, past the traditional apology section, to talk about Akira Toriyama and the impact he's had on art and culture and video games and us personally.
Yeah, he sure did a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I like that guy. I've been enjoying seeing people on the internet post pics, even though, I've got all those pics in my head. I don't need to see them. I've got them all up here because they're so archetypal.
I think that one of the first things that struck me was certainly he died too young. He also died with things unfinished. And it makes me think about that kind of stuff where like you work your entire life making media for somebody, for everybody, really. And you do all this amazing stuff and then you just die in the middle of it while you're doing it. That's like, that's not nice.
No, it's
I
not.
thought about that too.
He should have been able to just go out to a pasture at some point and chill. But no, he was just bust. I mean, probably he wanted to bust through it.
Well, he wasn't that old. I mean, he probably would have gotten there.
68.
Yeah, at some point he would have.
Yeah. But I don't think he wanted to. And
no,
like,
he probably wanted to work.
What came to mind for me, maybe this is a little selfish thinking about myself or whatever, but like what came to mind for me is I'm never upset when someone who I don't personally know, but might even respect, dies if they're just kind of done. You know what I mean? Like I've never been like, wow, that actor who I used to enjoy who hasn't worked in 15 years died. I'm sad. Like that's not how my brain works. Mm-hmm. But if someone's still producing stuff, like I was sad when Iwata died.
Yeah.
Right.
Because like that was someone who was still being effective.
Conceiving the Nintendo Switch,
right.
Pushing that thing out. Like it was in the final stages at that point, probably.
But I mean, more than that, like that made me sad because he was pushing Nintendo toward exposing its own history and recognizing its own importance. You know, he was like, Iwata Asks is like the only way we know anything about how old Nintendo games were made. That's like the one source.
Yeah, it's wild.
Not to steer this back to Iwata, but I guess, you know, what came up for me was that like I don't get sad unless someone is still contributing, and I don't know if that's weird, but that's where my brain went, and this made me sad because like I want Dragon Quest 12 to have new monsters.
Yeah, no, I understand. Not too long ago on the show, we were talking about movie directors making some of the best movies of their careers in their 80s, and that all kind of happening in the past couple of years, and how video games hasn't had that guy yet.
Absolutely.
And it feels like Toriyama would have been one of those guys.
Well, he was already doing it. Like, obviously, Toriyama is one of the most influential manga artists of all time, and storytellers as well. I would say that he is the beginning of modern manga as we know it right now, because like you got Tezuka, who's really influential, but you read his stuff and parts of it feel old. To some extent or another. But you look at anything Toriyama has ever done, and you're like, yeah, I'll read that right now. I'll read that today. And he was not done with that. His creativity was still going and percolating, and it's just amazing. That guy has become manga and anime. He has transcended. He's like in the DNA of it. You can't get that out of there. And he's an archetype in a way. I must admit that because I saw so many people drawing his stuff in high school, I thought that it was when I was in high school, I thought it was like trite and not very, very good. And that I was dead wrong about that. As soon as I opened up an actual Dragon Ball manga and looked at the little cars,
get the full experience,
looked at the little houses, look at all the way he does the line work, look at how he does effects, look at how he does expressions, I was like, well, I was wrong. LOL. I was mistaking his work's ubiquity for like the cool S that people were carving onto their desks.
If you're ever in a band and you know there's a band that's popular, and then somebody who's like a serious guy who knows all the guitar tabs for his favorite solos or whatever, he'll always say, "Well, that song sound. I don't know why this song's popular. It sounds so easy to play, right?" There was a lot of that going around with Akira Toriyama's art on the internet that I was able to perceive in the early 21st century, where people are like, anybody can imitate this guy's art. It's not, and it's like, well, they can't really.
First of all, they can't, and second of all, they couldn't have done it the first time without him doing it first.
The whole I could have wrote this song. Like I said a few ways back on this very show, I said that a long time ago, my response to a person saying I could have wrote this song was, but you didn't. And now my response to I could have wrote this song is, no, you couldn't have, right? Yeah. The but you didn't has become a no, you couldn't have. And Akira Toriyama kind of occupied the totality of the space between the but you didn't and no, you couldn't have, in terms of just everything. Like, I mean, man, I talk about Dragon Quest a lot. I love Dragon Quest. Akira Toriyama, quote unquote, just does the character designs for Dragon Quest. And it is true, he does have an extensive studio with many understudies and assistants who will finalize designs and carry them forward through the duration of a project, who will assist in 3D modeling and such. But there was an absolutely inimitable wisdom in the ultimate contributions he made to the character designs of those games, where the main characters, the main casts, he was always, you could tell that this was a guy who absolutely thrived on the task of tiny iterations of like his own basic style, just like tweaking the what does a hero look like idea. He kept his monsters the same pretty much throughout Dragon Quest. He gave them there were a couple new monsters. There's a cucumber monster in Dragon Quest 11, right? There were a couple of monsters that were new and different every time, and that was always fun to see what he came up with. But just seeing how he feels at such and such particular point in time about how a hero should dress, like how long a hero's shirt or tunic should be, or there were all these little things that it was always delightful to see what he came up with. Even in something that he was only involved in the visual design of a couple of dudes in there that were characters already written and ready to go by a guy. I want a guy who looks like this, and then Toriyama makes the guy who looks like that. And it's just, having read all of his manga, I suppose, I'd say there's nobody who could knock a task like that out of the park like that guy could.
It's really interesting to think about. I don't think there's anybody else who has such an impact visually on so many mediums simultaneously, maybe like manga, anime, and video games. He's formative in the modern understanding of all of those, I would say.
Yeah. Well, I mean, especially in the last 10 years or so, we've seen, well, I mean, what has happened is a lot of children who watched Dragon Ball Z on Toonami are now in their 20s and early 30s. And I mean, Toriyama has always been an incredible drawer of clothes. Like the casual fashions in Dragon Ball, the manga, were always completely incredible.
Yeah.
Like completely, like, I mean, the guy was so good at drawing clothes.
I'd wear them today.
And I mean, Japanese streetwear of the early 90s kind of really evolved from there. I mean, I think you can kind of, I don't know, I was about to say blame. You can blame Toriyama for the rise of boutique, vintage style, museum grade replica flight jackets in Japan in the early 1990s, which is a trend that continues to this day. I'm wearing my Buzz Rickson L2B H-type jacket right now as we discuss this. Toriyama was a big L2B jacket wearer in real life, and he put them on his characters all the time. And I don't know, it informed my opinion of high-waisted, stiff-looking trousers and cool flight jackets. I don't know. There's a lot more to say about this guy.
Yeah.
But god darn.
He's cool. That's
he was a cool guy.
Real cool guy.
Did some pretty good stuff. And it's also interesting to me how I perceived recently that folks thought Sandland was new.
Oh, yeah.
Sandland being a short that he did like
novel.
20 some years ago.
I read it.
And it's getting a game, and isn't it getting an anime as well?
A film,
now?
yeah.
That's correct.
It's getting a film. Yeah.
Well, an anime film, yeah.
Right.
People are like, this guy's still doing, and he was doing new stuff to an extent still, but just like his work is good enough that you can just keep mining backward and be like, all right, let's do this one.
The game looks good.
Yeah.
That Sandland game, I was excited about that. I mean, I still am. It's just obtained a bittersweet notion to it.
I have wondered if it's going to be difficult for those devs, because what if the game is not that good, and he died, and now your legacy to him is like rushed or something, or you don't feel that it's. I guess what I'm really thinking is there a lot more pressure on those guys? Answer, almost certainly.
Maybe. Yeah. Well, there's also Dragon Quest 12, which is, if my suspicions are correct, it's basically done at this point. It has to be. It could be another year or so before we hear anything about it. But I'm sure all Toriyama's work was locked.
Yeah.
I shudder to think of it as being a contributor to the stress that led to him acquiring acute subdural hematoma.
Yeah. Did he fall down or what? I guess we'll never know that.
We don't know, but we all know Toriyama was a Japanese manga artist who followed in the footsteps of Tezuka Osamu, and he was a hard worker, big time hard worker. The manga artists all smoke cigarettes, and drink a lot of alcohol, and they don't just drink a little bit of alcohol; they drink a lot.
Oh yeah, his author insert character in his little like autobiographical manga, he was smoking through a gas mask.
Always wearing a gas mask and smoking. Had hooks for hands, little clamps for hands, and is fond of alcohols and coffees. Having seen, I've been, big fan of this guy. He's a style inspiration for me. He's just overall, he's had a large impact on my personal experience as a person. So it's a particularly sad thing that he's dead. But I know that guy probably was working 16, 20 hours a day. And
definitely.
probably, when he relaxed, he probably relaxed pretty hard.
Mhm.
And yeah, that sucks. I don't want to speculate about a man's death, but guy probably worked real hard.
Mm-hmm.
Probably did.
Couldn't have had nothing to do with it. Kentaro Miura died similarly, just of an acute freak thing.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to a friend about this a couple days ago. Interestingly, I was talking to a friend, and then someone came up and recognized me and asked me what I think they should do with Dragon Quest now that Akira Toriyama is dead. And I know we discussed on this podcast that Yuji Horii was going to be the first big-time octogenarian, 80-year-old video game director.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about that. Koichi Sugiyama died, the music composer of Dragon Quest. It's worth noting that Koichi Sugiyama had not composed anything new in a very long time, and that Dragon Quest XI's music was almost entirely music taken from elsewhere in the series. So it's been basically just Toriyama and Horii for a while, and even then it's mostly just Horii. I would say the right thing to do is after Dragon Quest XII, I think Yuji Horii should retire. And I think Naoki Yoshida, director of Insert Credit Game of the Year 2023 Final Fantasy 16. Prior to that, director of Final Fantasy 14, A Realm Reborn. Prior to that, game designer and director of Dragon Quest X, the Dragon Quest MMO.
Oh.
He should become the director of Dragon Quest. And Eiichiro Oda of One Piece should be tasked with designing new characters.
Oh, that's a good call.
And Yuzo Koshiro should be brought in as the music composer.
Get him in there.
That is my dream. That would be the real dream team.
That's hot.
And I know Oda would do it because anybody who's ever watched the first 60 episodes of One Piece, we're going just the first. All you got to do is watch the first 60.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you can watch the other. How many are there now? 1,300 episodes?
560 million? Yeah.
There's literally 1,200 episodes. 1,200?
Yeah.
Something like that. Anybody who's watched the first 60 episodes of One Piece knows that Eiichiro Oda could probably have a fresh new redesign of every Dragon Quest monster in about a day and a half.
Absolutely, yeah.
And they would all be pretty usable. And he's a former protege, not a protege, but a spiritual protege of Toriyama.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's work that guy to death next.
No.
I know that's not yours. I know that's not what you're saying.
Oda's different, but also Oda, let's be frank here. Brandon putting the ERAL on the end of fun here. Just pinning the tail on the donkey. Oda had the esteemed luxury of growing up with Akira Toriyama comics to look up to, where Akira Toriyama simply did not. He was in the midst of inventing something out of...
He had to make him.
Out of nowhere.
Poor guy.
All he had was Astro Boy. He had to build that out of Astro Boy.
Yeah. It's the stress of inventing that stuff out of nowhere is pretty hard.
Enough to make you want to put on a gas mask.
And smoke a cigarette through it, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I want to ask, what's the most common misconception about video games in 2024?
Oh, God.
That they make money?
That's a good one.
I'm not going to get into the gross stuff that's going on right now because it's too stupid.
Oh, that's...
But, yeah.
Oh, it's so stupid, yeah.
And it's also not the most common misconception. I think probably the most common misconception is how it remains how easy it is to do X or Y. Just add online multiplayer kind of vibes. I think that's but I've been noticing people have been trying to learn, which is good, but that folks have not learned that, for example, making a Unity game, as you might call it, is not easier than making an Unreal game, for example. It's just not inherently easier or simpler.
I mean, having used both, I think if you're designing something with 3D spaces, Unreal's a little easier.
There's a lot of stuff set up for you.
Does Unreal have some reputation amongst pleb scrubs as being hard and more hardcore and more Dark Soulsian?
I think yes.
I think it's because a lot of smaller games use Unity, and I think the perception then is that it's easier.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I've mentioned this on here, but Unity did a hilarious bad thing that Unreal did the opposite of.
Oh, yeah.
I think they've scrapped this recently. But previously, if you were only paying for the cheapest license or the free license of Unity,
Oh yeah.
you had to show the Unity logo at the
Yeah,
front.
or you had to pay them $1 billion to ditch it.
Or you had to pay them more money to get rid of it. And then Unreal only shows the logo if you
Your game rules.
if you pay for it and work with them. And
Yeah.
so the perception is that Unity games are stupid and the lowest possible game that you can make because all the homebrew casual student stuff has a Unity logo flashing in front of it, and then all the AAA high-end stuff has the Unreal logo flashing in front of it. So the Unity really shot themselves right in the genitals with that one.
Yeah, it's a real good sort of managementdecisions.com, is like what that is. It's new things managers think are good ideas. It's pretty good. I'm a big fan of that particular mistake.
Yeah, it's funny. Other common misconceptions about video games. I don't know.
I mean, if we're talking not misconceptions about developing or making video games, but there's people out there who are still like, I'm not putting anyone particular on blast, but Mimsy was saying that she told her friend last week that I do Twitch streams. Right.
Oh yeah.
And that I play video games on Twitch every week and thousands of people watch it or whatever. And her friend was like, "What? People watch people play video games?
Oh, that's a big one.
Online?" And it's like, is it still like 2013? It's a pretty big. It's kind of interesting that still exists. And then also, I think there's again, I don't fault. I wish I didn't know people watched video games being played by other people. Which I didn't know that. I envy you, my friend. But also there's another misconception is that I witnessed somewhat firsthand was when I made Mimsy play Grand Theft Auto 5 and she loved it, is people just think AAA video games are still completely impenetrable to the normie sensibility. There's people out there who still think that I could never play one of those new video games. Oh, I wouldn't know what to do. It's like, no, they're pretty easy for anybody to get into.
Yeah, they show you how to do it.
And you follow instructions.
Yeah. Follow some instructions. And
have you ever followed a recipe and cooked a dish? You can play any video game.
Exactly. It's like, can you follow instructions? What if I told you could follow instructions while having fun? That's a video game, right? It's not so bad.
Oh, did we just define a video game?
Following instructions while having fun?
Yeah, is that the insert credit official definition of what a video game is?
That is a question we got recently in the dirt bag, so that one's for free. You got that one.
Yeah, there you go.
I will say that the misconception still floats out there amongst regular human beings that video games cause violence.
Mm. Oh yeah. They still got those.
That's still out there.
Yeah, all of these are like definitely on their way out, but it's like
the reason I said 2024.
Well, I'm looking at my watch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I think all three of us would agree that when G4 was new, I think all three of us were probably like, why aren't they just showing people playing video games?
Yeah.
You know, and what was that, like 25 years ago or something? You know?
Yeah.
It's been obvious for that long. You know, in the same way that like when we were little kids, it's like, why don't they just make the comic book movie like the comic book?
Exactly.
Did you all see? Did you all see when Ninja was on The Masked Singer?
Oh my God!
I heard about it. I didn't like watch anything.
I watched that happen. And
why?
Sometimes you want to.
Is that our next question? Why did Brandon?
Because he watches The Max Singer every week, and it was just a big surprise to him.
Sometimes you want to watch, I shouldn't say you. Sometimes I want to watch reality television while eating dinner.
I never want to watch reality.
That's fine.
I'm a real Brandon Sheffield lots of stuff when it comes to reality television.
I think that's fair. And oddly enough, I'm not regarding that quite.
I'm allergic to a few things in real life.
Yeah.
I have what feels like an allergic reaction to the editing of reality television.
Same, absolutely. Yeah, like like when they show reaction shots and it's like, okay, that was from 5 minutes earlier. Like I understand, like
does that include competitive reality television though?
Absolutely, yeah. They all have the same house style, the same editing style.
Yep,
I can't take it.
Although sometimes they don't, and then it's very funny. But I just wanted to point out that Ninja took off his mask.
And then everyone was like, "Who's that?"
Everyone on the panel was like, "Who's that?" That rules. And then the host, Nick Cannon, who has like 500 children, he had to be like, "This is Ninja, who has this many subscribers on Twitch," and blah blah blah. Like they
What's
had to
Twitch?
And they were like, "What is that?" You could just see the faces of the celebrity panelists being like,
They're all just whip out their phones and they're just like texting their friends.
Yes.
About how bored they are.
I think my kid knows who that is.
This is a show on television, a thing people who play Twitch don't watch.
Yeah.
Man, I go to the doctor and I mention I make YouTube videos for a living. And then he's like, what are the videos about? And I'm like, oh, they're about video games. Oh, my nephew watches some of those.
Having to explain that is so miserable.
How old's your nephew? And I'm just like, I'm asking him how old his nephew is. Like, like I'm asking him for his wallet with a knife in my hand. And he's like, 4? And I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
Does your nephew watch Irish people talk about Minecraft? Is that it?
That guy might not be ready for your videos. It's possible, but 4-year-old might not be there yet.
This week, I had a dream that I was hired to do magic at a child's birthday party.
Nope.
And I took the job because I needed the money, even though I don't know any magic. Later, I learned that I was actually hired to teach the kids to play Magic the Gathering.
Oh, that's much easier.
And that makes a lot more sense that they would think I would know how to do that, except I don't know how to play Magic the Gathering. So my question is, should I learn to do magic or should I learn to play magic?
Oh, good question. Both involve cards.
Yeah.
Can involve cards.
I'm going to tell you what. I've been in a Perkins in Indianapolis, Indiana, Castleton Square before they closed it, and now they only have one in Noblesville. I've been to Perkins at a time a guy came by with some coins wanting to show a magic trick to me and my friend whose husband is a professional magician. And she was the wrong audience for the magic trick, and she humiliated that poor man who was just in a Perkins at 2 a.m., trying to drum up some support. Meanwhile, I think back to that encounter. If that man had a big old fat, like shopping, like grocery bag full of magic decks and been like, here, pick a deck, let's play. I would have been like, all right, I don't like this guy. Because let's face it, this is not a guy you're going to like, right?
Yeah. The guy who comes up to you in a restaurant at 2 a.m. is not your guy.
Yeah, exactly. While you're trying to enjoy your mammoth muffin. And you're like your 14th cup of coffee, because you only see this friend once a year.
Yeah.
Right. You only see this friend once a year. So you make the best of it with a good old cranberry muffin and 14 cups of coffee and an omelet. And then some magician comes by. Right. And then he dropped the coin while he was doing a trick. It was very funny. That may have been 10 years ago, but still often I think of it every time we go to Perkins every year. Anyway, if he'd had a bag, a Santa sack full of Magic the Gathering decks bound with rubber bands. Oh, they're pre-made decks. They're pre-made. You can just jump in. Just pick one. I would have been like, all right, dude, let's do it.
I do think there's something in that to where if someone approaches me with the idea of playing Magic the Gathering versus the idea of showing me a magic trick, the way in which I say no to that question is much friendlier with the Magic the Gathering than it is with the magic trick.
Interesting.
It's a with you thing rather than an at you thing.
The magic trick, I'm like, no, thanks. I just no, please don't. I don't want to interact with you like this. Yeah. And Magic the Gathering is just like, oh no, sorry, I'm not into it. So I think Magic the Gathering is a more socially acceptable skill.
Yes.
So you're trying to figure out how to blow off Jaffe the easiest way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Jaffe, there is here on the Upper West Side, the best part of New York City. There's actually a little restaurant right up on Broadway, right near Columbia University, where they play Magic the Gathering in there, and it looks pretty cool. And everybody's in there playing Magic the Gathering. That's on Broadway in New York City.
Yeah, they got one on the East Side too. It's called Hex & Co. It's really nice.
Yeah, they got them up here. You sit in there. I mean, I'd never go in there because I don't go in places. That's all. My neck of Broadway, I treat it like like a GTA exterior where I just walk around out there and I don't go inside any of the buildings.
Yeah.
I mean, I think with Magic the Gathering, your only option is like to sit down and have long sessions with people. Whereas if you were a practicing magician, you can entertain yourself very briefly by by just doing a quick magic trick on a friend or something. I mean, like what Brandon said about like if they approach, how do I react? Like I might reluctantly be like, sure, show me a trick, and because I know I can get out of this quickly,
Yeah.
And like there is a chance that I might be entertained by it.
Yes.
So I think if you're trying to do the most good in the world needs more like cool magicians than it needs Magic the Gathering players.
I think that's fair. I'm mostly thinking about my own discomfort here, obviously. I will also throw into the mix that probably the richest person whose phone number I have runs a Magic tournament sometimes. So I don't know where that falls into things.
Oh yeah, you might be able to get more like funding because you're not likely to get invited to a rich person's situation as a magician unless they're hiring you for their kid's birthday or something. In which case, they do not respect you like remotely, but they might respect you as a Magic the Gathering DM or whatever it is that you do.
Yeah. Anybody who's had a friend who's learning magic tricks, like especially card magic tricks, has definitely experienced their friend being like, "Hey, can I try a trick?" And you go, "Yeah, all right." And then they mess it up.
Yeah.
And you're like, "Okay." And then you're just used to seeing a bunch of magic that's messed up. Whereas if you're playing a game together, it's more.
You can both mess up and it's fine.
Okay. You can both flub it up and flop around a bit.
Well, that gives me a lot to think about. Thanks, guys. I'll noodle on it some more as we take a quick break. Got any big GDC plans, Frank?
We have an exhibit on the show floor the whole time, so I just live there.
Oh, cool. Are there cats at this one?
No.
Well, sounds like it's going to be a bust.
Yeah, we should have cats at GDC.
Like those. Any dogs?
No, but I did just run through the games to be like, are there dogs in any of the games? No. There are rabbits in one of the games.
Nice.
SimTunes has bugs that make sounds.
That's close.
Dogs are bugs that make sound.
Welcome back to Insert Credit. Let's go spelunking in Carl's Bad Cavern. This is the point of the show where I take a question that was submitted to me at patreon.com/insertcredit, where for only a few dollars a month, you can send me those questions, get monthly bonus episodes, and other stuff. This week's question is from LeFish, who asks, I recently bought a Blu-ray of Tokyo Decadence, a movie directed by Ryu Murakami, based on one of his own short stories. Are there any video games based on works in other mediums that have been led by their original creators?
Ooh. Oh, let me think about this. I mean, I don't know about lead. I think lead is like, let's get rid of the word lead, maybe contributed to. Okay?
Sure.
Wait, what about that dumb Genesis game you're always talking about, Frank, that that was based on the comic? That was led by the same guy, right?
Normie's Beach Babe-O-Rama.
Normie's Beach Babe-O-Rama, right?
That's true. Yeah, that is an adaptation of Keith Robinson's comic strip.
Technically, that is one. Not that it's good, but it is one.
It's an interesting... Well, I assume he worked on the game because he worked on games. I didn't check the credits. Maybe
another, not that it's good, but Douglas Adams' Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Absolutely. He straight up co-wrote that, I believe. Mm-hmm. So that is the prime example, I think. That's the best answer.
Keith Robinson is indeed credited with design and concept and et cetera. So he did work on it, yeah.
Didn't that Riddick game have some involvement from someone?
Could be.
Making that up? I don't know.
I know Vin Diesel was very hands-on with it. Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. I assume he was hands-on with the film as well.
Yeah, he was a big boy about those films, but his buddy did those films though. But also, I think all those guys were probably hanging out there.
Yeah, what was the director's name? I can't remember right now.
Daddy Big Boy.
Daddy Big Boy.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
Big man, Daddy Boy.
David Toohey. There he is.
If you go into the multimedia era of PC CD-ROMs and you consider those games, and sometimes they're vaguely gamey, there's a lot there. There's a lot of, like Brian Eno had a CD-ROM that he worked on that was basically just visualizing some of his music kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
We have a Bob Dylan one I'm staring at right now. It's part of the exhibit. We have a GDC of some of this trash. Sorry, some of these interesting experiments. So, if you want to count those as games, there's stuff there.
Frank, I think you were talking about Chronicles of Riddick, Escape from Butcher Bay. But,
I was.
David Toohey, the director and conceiver of it, is only a special thanks.
Okay.
Yeah.
That might not count then.
Yeah.
Would you count Penn and Teller's Smoke and Mirrors as just an adaptation of their act?
No.
Yeah, I don't agree with that.
But weren't they involved?
What I'm saying is I don't know that like adaptation of their act is the same thing as adaptation of a work.
Oh wait,
that's true.
Does Takeshi's Castle count as an adaptation of a work? I feel like it kind of does.
Well, it is. It was a TV show, yeah.
It was a TV show, yeah, but I mean, is it truly an adaptation of it? I think it kind of is.
Yeah, I was going to say that as soon as you said Penn and Teller. So
right.
I think it's probably right.
Cool.
The Takeshi's Castle game.
Yeah.
Did he work on that?
I believe he did. Yeah.
Yeah, he was quite outspoken about how much he hated video games and wanted to make a bad one on purpose. Yeah.
Right.
Well, no, that's not based on the show though, is it?
It is. Yeah, the show was people had to do a variety of humiliating obstacle course things.
No, there is a Takeshi's Castle game that's different than
we're talking about. Sorry, I guess Takeshi's Challenge is what the
Takeshi's Challenge is.
Okay.
The game.
Well, so to be clear, the name of the TV show is Takeshi no Chosen-Joul, and Chosen-Joul means challenge castle.
And this is like most extreme elimination challenge. Is that the same thing?
Yes, it is the same thing, except they redubbed it.
That is not the game you're thinking of. There is a Takeshi's Castle Famicom game, and it's a Bandai Power Pad thing, like running on the floor.
Well, no, I'm thinking of Takeshi no Chosen-Joul, which...
Isn't that an adventure game where you're walking around as him?
No.
No?
It's a sort of a multi-mini game.
I guess you are walking around as him.
There is some walking around. There's
like a storyline where you're fired by your boss and stuff like that.
It's a bit of a trailblazing sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess maybe it's...
That does not seem to be an adaptation of the show.
I think you're right that it's not an
it's close
adaptation. Enough. But it is, like, name-wise it is, and he sure worked on it. But, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can, when you're adapting to a different medium, I think it's,
sure.
as we've all learned from the year 2023, the year of The Last of Us, the movie, or The Last of Us, the TV show, and Super Mario Brothers, the movie, there's more than one way to adapt a video game to a movie, right?
I'm okay with counting this, and if we do, then I think Penn and Teller does count.
As an adaptation of their act.
Yeah, and it's almost, you could even call it an adaptation of whatever their VHS was called. I don't remember.
But Penn and Teller's act is magic, where Takeshi's act is directing movies and also acting and also crazy, wacky comedy. So I don't know what I'm talking about. Who cares?
So Smoke and Mirrors at its heart is a series of like magic tricks. You play
video
on
game
people.
Magic tricks.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
It's kind of an adaptation, I think. I've never watched them, of their early VHS tapes. Like there's one called Penn and Teller's Cruel Tricks for Dear Friends, which I don't know the contents of that, but that sounds a lot like Smoke and Mirrors to me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay with counting both of them, but it's more like I don't consider those adaptations though. I consider them, artists working in different mediums.
Yeah.
Like
Moonwalker. Yeah.
He walked in one day and said, make that blue.
It says game concept and design by, and it's based on his video.
Ghostbusters, the video game, was written by Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis.
Oh,
okay.
And a bunch of other people.
That's pretty good.
Back to the Future, the Telltale game was written by Bob Gale.
Yeah.
That's good.
All right.
So that's a pretty good one.
Boom Blocks was written by Steven Spielberg based on the film Boom Blocks by Steven Spielberg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Only ever on VHS. It's hard to find. I think Brandon has it too.
Yeah.
Next question. This is one I've had in the tank for a while, but it's too big for one 6-minute chunk, and I think not big enough for a whole episode. So we're going to give this one 12 minutes, maybe more. Which game consoles do you most closely associate with particular video game genres?
Oh, I think maybe just go through the video game consoles and say what the genre is.
Yeah.
At least the ones that count, not all of them.
What's the PS2? Start with the PS2. I think that's the right one to start with.
That is third-person action adventure to me.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
That's what I was going to say as well.
NES, I'm going to go with platform action game, which I think includes shooting, right?
Yeah, NES, I like whatever genre like Batman and Vice Project Doom is. That's what.
Or Tim, were you going to try to put RPG in there?
No, Lord, no. NES ain't no RPG.
Yeah, okay.
No, there's like 4 of
Super
them.
Nintendo though.
Super Nintendo for me is JRPGs, but also PlayStation 1 is JRPGs.
They can both be.
Yeah.
Nothing's stopping that.
They could.
I also would say RPG for Super Nintendo.
I think PlayStation 1, I would just say, is the good ones, is the games that it's good at.
Genesis, this is perhaps dismissive, but I guess you could say this for the NES too. I was kind of going licensed game.
So my like word association with Genesis was dithering, but that's not a game genre.
Yeah, it's not a game genre, and neither is licensed game.
I would never say that the NES was licensed games. The Super Nintendo had way more licensed games, and the NES had way more just good ones. Like Vice Project Doom, right?
Yeah.
You know, we just mentioned that one.
Well, I'm just thinking about like Acclaim and Ultra. They put so much of their stuff on the NES.
Shatterhand, Low G Man.
I think Acclaim put more licensed stuff on the Super Nintendo.
Super Nintendo was bursting with them. Yeah,
maybe they did. So if I were to choose
Genesis had some better licensed games.
Something for Genesis, would I say like
Genesis is sports games to most people.
It could be sports games, could be hard action games, but I think sports games might be correct.
I think of, I don't know, like games where you jump but platforming isn't the challenge, you know, like whatever I don't know what genre that would be. I mean, like Gunstar Heroes to me is a prototypical Genesis game.
Yeah, I think you could also make an argument for Sonic likes for the Genesis.
There's not enough, and they all suck other than Sonic.
Well, Socket's okay, but yeah, I think probably
Socket's pretty good.
I think probably sports is a good one. PC Engine, I'm just going to put it out there is shooter. That's
sure. I'm with you.
If only there was some genre we all associated with PC 98 games.
Oh yeah,
it's just so diverse. The library.
If only we could pick just one. I think we just got to say that one's not possible. It's just not possible to figure out what the one genre for PC 98.
Well, I think that's you could say Japanese microcomputers just in general. I think that's all of them have the same genre.
Yeah, all of those ones.
I don't agree with sports for Genesis. I want to go back to Genesis. No, because I actually think it's Earthworm Jim, it's The Lion King, it's Gunstar Heroes. It's like games where you can jump and there's some platforming elements, but that's not like the focus of it.
Aspirational platformers that are trying to be more than video games.
Yeah.
And sometimes succeeding in ways. Sonic is sort of one of those.
What was PS2 again?
PS2 is third-person action adventure.
Yeah. Also known as the only genre of video games.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
The Jak and Daxter, Ratchet and Clank, Dynasty Warriors.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The Saturn, is it fair or unfair to say, I mean, it's just like 2D, but fighting games are the best on it, but they mostly came out and like not all of them came out here. So I don't know if that really even gets to count.
Saturn's tough.
It is tough because you got... It's shot in a bunch of different directions, and most of them were mediocre.
Well, I think Saturn is the 90s arcade home console, and the 2600 is the 80s home arcade console.
Yeah, I guess that's... I could go with that because it is where Sega put their arcade ports. Not that didn't also happen on the PlayStation, though. It's just there's so much more stuff on the PlayStation that by volume it's less.
So much more stuff.
Well, what's the PlayStation?
PlayStation also feels like JRPGs.
Yeah, it had the most of them and the best of them.
How about that Dreamcast?
Oh, yeah.
Dreamcast is the arcade game system of 1999.
Yeah. It's the next Saturn. Yeah.
But Dreamcast was like arcade in the home in that they were making arcade games for your console because it was still arcade feeling like Crazy Taxi. Crazy Taxi was an arcade game, but Space Channel 5, that's an arcade game that was made original for console is what it feels like.
What of the Neo Geo?
Neo Geo. Well, that's just
fighters.
That's just fighting games, and also it is an arcade system. So
it's literally just fighters. What do we got? PS3.
How about the Game Boy?
Oh, Game Boy.
Game Boy is
those are puzzle. That's a puzzle game machine to me.
I was gonna say because I think of it as being like where your weird little Castlevanias and your weird little Marios go.
Yeah, that it could be either one. Yeah,
I like puzzles
because puzzle game it's basically just Tetris and Dr. Mario. It's not.
No, if you go through the library, it's mostly like cheaply made and often interesting puzzle games. There's a lot of Boxel likes. There's like
Boxel, dude.
Yeah. Interesting. That's not my understanding of it, but I have a weaker understanding of it. So
I mean, I also would put in like puzzle platformer. Like proto puzzle platformer, I would count in the same genre.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I could get.
So that's what I think of with the Game Boy. But I also like it as like the weird B system, but almost specifically for first party Nintendo.
Right.
Like there's some other ones like Castlevania, like you said. But
I'll put the Wonder Swan in here. That's anime games. And that is, I'm gonna allow that for myself as a genre because it's like
okay.
That's where your One Piece is. It's like adaptations of anime because Bandai owned it, and that's what they were.
360 is
third-person shooter.
Well, third or first person. I don't care where the camera is. It is reticule shooter.
360 is third-person shooter.
It's third person. Yeah.
Okay. Third person. Yeah. It's the console of Gears of War, Gears of War 2, Gears of War 3.
Yeah.
That's three of them.
Mm-hmm.
There's three third-person shooters. That's more than enough.
Yeah.
What else is on there?
The Nintendo Wii is the nursing home game.
We haven't done the GameCube, as they say, they call it in Japan. GameCube.
GameCube.
The GameCube is where you put a 3D Mario IMO.
You put one 3D Mario, and one 3D Zelda and Pikmin.
I feel like that console is not super identityful.
No.
Yeah, well, there was that demo with 128 Marios.
That's true.
Yeah.
They got a Smash Bros, they got a Mario, they got a Zelda, they got a Pikmin, they got a F-Zero, and they're basically just the Nintendo.
GameCube is the console that makes people cry over Zelda tech demos.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the sampler platter.
Yeah.
The GameCube is the Nintendo sampler platter. The genre is Nintendo.
That's why it looks like a bento box.
Metroid Prime as
N64 was 3D experiments and
I say 3D platformer.
The GameCube was Nintendo in 3D. It was just like, this is what a 3D Nintendo game is forever now.
But yeah, Nintendo 64 to me, even though I don't play them, is rare platformers.
Yeah.
I think 3D platformer is N64 for sure.
There were some real stinkers on there, yeah.
Yeah, when Conker fights a poop, that's pretty.
I guess Wii is the party game system.
Party games, eh?
Is it party game? I guess probably.
Wii Music, Wii Sports, Wii Sports Resort.
But there was a lot of like accessible games for kids that weren't necessarily party.
Yeah.
That felt like a big push.
They're for children's parties.
Yeah, imagine Party Babies.
Have you tried imagining Party Babies, Brandon?
We was like a video game tutorial. Like every game was a tutorial.
Game length tutorials, yeah.
Yeah. So can we put tutorial as a genre?
Yeah, I like
games
that.
that are terrified of their audience.
Like Epic Mickey is like I only played it for maybe like 3 hours, but it was just a tutorial as far as I could tell.
Yeah.
I don't know if a game ever started in that game.
What of the ZX Spectrum?
Cigarettes.
Trash.
Wouldn't it be?
Oh, it's all right.
Wouldn't it be adventure game in the British sense?
Like Manic Miner.
Yeah,
isometric.
And isometric. It's Manic Miner and isometric. Batman lost his keys.
Yeah.
I think impossible isometric game would be a good good summary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's okay. Like Manic Miner, Batman, and Dizzy, I think are all the same genre, just different perspectives.
Yeah.
Which is jump around and find the stuff.
Mhm.
Which I guess is puzzle adventure.
Puzzle adventure, something like that. Yeah.
And I guess the C64 Amiga would probably be.
I just go demo scene.
I might put Belt Scroller in there, even though it's not like beat 'em up, but it's like games where you scroll and there's a lot of scrolling and there's a lot of
Tagliatelle games.
Yeah. We skipped the Jaguar. We don't have the Jaguar.
The Jaguar.
Cybermorph.
That doesn't count. It's not a
it doesn't have enough of an identity, really.
Having within the last 6 months launched every game ever published on that system, it does not have an identity.
Actually, what prototype? Prototype is the genre.
Yeah, the genre is unfinished.
The genre is unfinished prototype.
What about 3DO? Similar.
3DO is interesting because it's like a step between your early 3D in Doom and your actual 3D in the PlayStation. So it's like some kind of stutter step.
I'm more interested in the O, to be honest.
Yeah.
Thank you. What is CDI? Is that FMV games?
Yes.
Edutainment that doesn't actually teach you anything?
Yeah, edutainment is what I would put.
Valueless edutainment.
It's like Compton CD-ROM or whatever you want to call that. It's like menus with videos is the genre of CDI.
Oh, that's it.
But I do want to try to figure out 3DO. 3DO is like early computer 3D.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I think of too.
But that's not a genre, of course.
No.
But I don't think it got enough of an identity either. It just tried a lot of things.
I'm thinking about things like Shockwave. Like that's what I think of, which is kind of like whatever you'd call Panzer Dragoon, like an auto scroller
rail
3D rail shooter. There you go. Like I think of rail shooter, but I don't know if that's fair.
I don't know if it is either, but they did have that. The first Ridge Racer 3D was on there, and that's almost on rails, basically.
Road Rash, I very heavily associate with the 3DO.
Oh yeah, 3DO is just Road Rash as a video game console, basically. Has anybody here ever actually had Road Rash?
Did I not say Road Rash? Did I say a different game?
I don't remember what you said.
I thought I said. I don't know if I've lost my mind because I thought I just talked about Road Rash, and then you were like, and I think of Road Rash. Like, what? I don't know.
So the PlayStation 3, I just want to say, has no games, so it doesn't have a genre.
Nice.
Yeah,
it has no games. Right.
Still can't find it in any stores.
I want to go through the PSP and the PS Vita.
Yeah, and also the GBA we got to get.
Yeah, we got a lot of GBs to hit.
GBA is like simple licensed games for kids where you walk and jump.
I guess licensed platformer.
Like I don't know if platformer is like correct though. Like most of the games I load up just randomly.
Okay, how about licensed character action?
You can theoretically jump, but you don't. And I like it's often like walk to the right and collect a thing, and then it congratulates you.
Well, so I'm thinking about the Japanese licensed games, and most of those are actual character action. So I want to push it further in that direction because I think that's a
licensed action game.
Yeah, licensed character action.
Bad licensed platformer.
Astro Boy's not so bad, but it's also not really a platformer. It's also, you know what? It's not really that good.
Not typical of the library.
Yeah, I agree with all those things you just said, Tim.
It's not. It's got a heck of a first level, but that's kind of the story of Treasure, I guess.
Indeed. What do we got? We got the DS.
Yeah, the DS.
Nintendudes. I think Nintendudes is.
There's so much stuff on there, but I would.
The Nintendo DS is like the PlayStation 2. I mean the sequel to the original PlayStation in terms of just how much unique stuff, like outsider games it has. People being like, "Oh, I'll try making a video game for that."
Yeah, like I want to define it as Ace Attorney, but that's dismissive of all of its stuff, really. But Ace Attorney was like, this is a DS game to me. But so was almost everything else on it.
But also, Ace Attorney was a Game Boy Advance game.
It was.
But I see what you mean, and I associate it that way because I associate that library as being, at least in the first year or two, just wildly interesting. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like I'm going to play the lawyer game, I'm going to play the doctor game, I'm going to play the Resident Evil, I'm going to, you know, like it's like I'm going to play the soap opera. Whatever that was. It was like a launch title that was like a soap opera. It was kind of good, actually.
Hotel Dusk?
No. Well, I mean, that's
the detective one.
I think you could just you could call the DS indie games, even though most of them, vast majority, were not independent by any sort of a
Sure, in the spirit of creation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Feel the magic.
Oh yeah, feel the magic. XXXY rub rabbits.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then the 3ds is basically GameCube 2.0. It's just like your 3D Nintendo games go here.
Wait, no. There's no
No?
3D Mario. There's no 3D. There's
I guess
Super Mario
that's true.
3D
No,
World
that's
is
a
not
good
the
point.
same as Super Mario Sunshine. Nintendo 3DS is just. I mean, what was the most popular game on 3DS? It was Animal Crossing, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that or a Mario Kart.
They did release Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time remasters on there.
Maybe 3DS is another we don't count. Maybe it's like the PS3.
They made an original Zelda that was a sequel to Link to the Past. That was top-down 3D. They made a Super Mario 3D World, which is they did original stuff on there.
3D Land.
Yeah,
I just want to point out again how funny it is that there's a remaster of Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask that are half the vertical resolution of the originals.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
And
weird.
I mean, I've always had eyeball problems with regard to playing anything on a 3DS, and I did try to play that Ocarina once, and I found it just one of the most viscerally unpleasant experiences of my video gaming life. Was just trying to look at that, trying to reckon with how it looked.
I'm excited to hack my 3DS and put the Virtual Boy emulator on there.
Yeah, I mean, you can try that.
I got to.
It'd be worth a good 12, 13 minutes of
Mhm.
excitement for you.
I'm excited about those 13 minutes.
Well, there's the library. I've done it.
Yeah, so 3DS is there's just too much stuff. You get to
Yeah.
a point where I feel like it has the opposite of the Jaguar problem. It has too many things.
But it's also not as identityful to me as the DS, because by the time you get to the 3DS, there were a lot of games that were just like, we're not going to use the bottom screen anymore.
All right. I am calling it here. I'm going to save this list and we're going to come back to it in a future episode.
Okay, but I'm going to throw in PS4 and 5 is
Open world games, right?
Okay. No, I was going to
Wait,
say.
what were you going to say?
I was going to say like cinematic, Last of Us kind of stuff.
Oh,
Which I would
sure,
also
sure.
lump like Spider-Man into even.
But with Sony, you've got Spider-Man, Days Gone, Horizon, Zero Dawn, which are all just big, giant, Ghost of Tsushima, just all big open world games.
All right.
With that are cinematic Sony games. I call them Sony games. I think it's a genre. I think there's a genre called Sony games now.
I think the Sony games I think of them as the ones Frank's talking about, the single player ones.
There's only two of those though. There's Last of Us and God of War, and then the rest of them
And
are
Spider-Man.
they're all open world though. Spider-Man's very open world.
Yeah, but I
okay.
consider them the same thing somehow. They're just very cinematic single player
Yeah.
adventures.
I think Last of Us is, and this is neither a compliment nor a slight. I believe The Last of Us is kind of its own thing in terms of the modern video games. It's probably good that it's its own thing. I think of The Last of Us as in another world, except realized as a full award-winning, critically acclaimed 3D nonsense.
I promise we're going to crack this whole list. We're going to get to all of your favorite consoles. But for now, we're putting a pin on this and we'll come back to it later.
We got most.
Now I'd like to come back to recommendations.
Oh, that was kind of our lightning round.
Yeah, I didn't want to do another list after we just did a list. How
That's
gauche
true.
do you think I am?
That's
I
true.
don't know. Okay, recommendations. I was watching Prometheus again. I'm not watching
That's
it
a
for the
smokable film.
second time after seeing it in the theater. I forget if we saw it in the theater together, Tim. I feel like we might have.
I saw it in the theater.
But if you thought that the pontification about religion and the nature of humanity in that movie was bad, check out the deleted scenes to see how much worse it could have been. I was watching the Blu-ray, and boy howdy, do they have a lot of nonsense in there. It's a pretty funny thing if you understand at this point how to watch Prometheus and be like, okay, it's fine, I can watch this. Then watch those deleted scenes. Very funny. But an actual recommendation, if you want to hear a guy who can really roll his R's, do a song. Check out Defensi, Dafencii. His song King Al-Halaba. It's pretty cool. He's a Sudanese rapper guy, and dude can roll some R's, and it's pretty fun. That's what I got this week. whatever time zone period we're in.
Sometimes that's all you need.
Yeah.
Is that all you got?
Yep, that's it.
Shoot.
Okay. I watched the trailer for this game just to see if I'd like it, and I will describe it. So you both seen this game, RZ?
Yeah.
It's the game that's meant to sort of evoke a CDI game like a Zelda.
Yeah, the CDI Zelda.
Oh, I've seen it, Carl. I've seen it.
I watched the trailer. I was pretty delighted by, the weird, goofy animation. I liked the look of the sort of like very simple, almost bad, like platforming and slashing that just appeals to me. And I was ready to go. And then the very end of the trailer, the shopkeeper goes something like, "Pay with something, will ya?" And it just ends on a reference. And I'm like, oh no. What is that what this
Ending
is?
on a reference, huh?
Was the rest of it just like a smoke screen for it being a reference game? It was
And
really
so is
scary. I bought it.
First word you hear when you start the game up, a guy goes, "Squadala!" Like that instantly as soon as the game starts.
I did buy it. I played it for maybe 2 hours last night. There was one reference that made me curl my toes a little bit, but other than that,
Which
it's just
one
kind
was
of
it?
goofy and weird. Did you play it, Tim?
Yeah, I played it.
It's when you bomb a wall and there's just a rat guy in there and he talks to you and he tries to tell you there are hidden items around the world and he's like, "I once heard of a guy who found a turkey leg inside of a wall," and I was like, "Don't do that. Just, don't do this." But the rest of it, I'm having actually a really good time. It just reminds me of like finding some old dumb game that you could sit down and play in one sitting, and just have a time. It's very leisurely. It's not hard. Like the friction is not the challenge. The friction is just kind of moving around. It's like I like a well, as we've discussed in the show, I like a leisurely game. Where the friction is just keeping me occupied, not challenging me. And this feels like that. I'm just kind of walking around, hitting guys with swords, shooting with a gun. And I played maybe like 2 hours last night, and I looked at my save and it said 22%. And I'm like, I like where this is going.
Oh, yeah.
I like this. So I'm only 22% into the game as of this recording, but I'm having a good time. And
I'll give it a try.
I have actually laughed at some of the cutscene animations.
Squadala.
Like they get weird.
God, Squadala.
They have
so
a good time with it.
Call 1-800-RED. My stuff.
Yeah,
right?
my stuff. Yeah. God, Squadala, dude.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Basically, Jeffy, you see, the CDI Zelda games became popular on the internet because of people remixing them.
Yeah,
on
on
YouTube mixing the
poops.
sentences together. And there's a guy, they get Link to say some pretty crazy stuff. And they get the King to say some pretty crazy stuff. And they get Princess Zelda to say some pretty crazy stuff. But also, there's a guy in there who just gives you the word Squadala for free. And you don't have to mix it. You don't have to get out your razor tool and slice it and get it. You don't have to put those consonants and vowels together. He just gives it
Expertly isolated.
he just gives it to you for free. Yeah. There's a minimal background noise on either side of the clip.
It's not cut out of squad allowance.
No, the squad allowance. Yeah, no. I think the word Squadala like 3 times. I think a day for the last couple decades. I think of the word Squadala. It's just kind of always been in my head, which I think is. I think it's good to think it when you see stuff that's very funny, like when you see a guy get like blown up in a movie. Imagine him saying Squadala as he goes flying out the window. Right?
Like the new Wilhelm scream.
Yeah, I was going to say replace every Wilhelm scream with Squadala.
Wilhelm scream sucks. Squadala rules. I thought Squadala this morning while I was looking at this image, which I'm about to paste in the chat. Nobody say what it is. Just watch it quietly. And while I saw this image, I thought of this particular guy yelling Squadala as he flies out of frame in this particular video clip. It's just very often in my head whenever there's a sudden movement of a guy in a hammy piece of video fiction.
Yeah. I don't recommend this, but I did just watch the 3rd and 4th Wishmaster movies. Because they're on Blu-ray and you can do that. And just if anyone's curious,
you can actually just do whatever you want.
You can do whatever you want.
watching this or listening,
the fourth movie is better than the third. The third is but the fourth, while also not good, is slightly better. But
imagine being a wish master, being like a master of wishing, of thinking you want stuff to be better.
They don't want stuff to be better. They want it to be worse. They grant wishes in the bad way.
I'm just joking about wishes.
But in the third movie, the lady who's the protagonist, she's run away from stuff. She just runs full force into a bike and flips over like a bicycle that's just there in the road, and she just runs into it and flips over, and it's incredibly funny and not supposed to be. It's supposed to be like a moment of tension where she's running from a threat, but she just flips herself over. And if I had remembered Squadala at that time, when she got back up after flipping over the bike, I think she could have said Squadala.
We just got to get back on that Squadala. Squadala! Just got to get back on it.
Squadala!
Wishmaster made me think of the Macaulay Culkin movie or show.
Pagemaster.
Wish Kid. Oh, no, Pagemaster. That's it.
Pagemaster, Wish Kid.
Same thing, right? And that was Pagemaster. And that made me think of the Super Nintendo video game. And I kind of think actually Super Nintendo is more of the bad licensed game thing than RPGs for me.
Could be. We can come back to it.
Maybe for you, but I mean, we can
come back to it.
There's some hot ones on there.
I was just watching a tool-assisted speedrun of Pagemaster on the Super Nintendo, and I got bored.
I was doing something more interesting than that. So
that sounds nice.
I mean, which of us really wins here?
Oh, well, I've got some recommendations. If you enjoyed this or any episode of Insert Credit, please rate and review our show however and wherever you can. Like, for instance, Alpha City Small Gym owner, who reviewed us by saying, would be more engaging and better paced if the buzzer was way louder. We also, you can support us on patreon.com/insertcredit to pay everyone involved in this show except for Tim. If you'd like to sponsor our show with an advertisement or personal message, we're accepting sponsors. You can get in touch with us at show@insertcredit.com. You can join our community at forums.insertcredit.com or find videos of these episodes with specially curated visuals to enhance your experience on youtube.com/insertcreditshow. This episode is edited by Esper Quinn with music by Kurt Feldman. I'm Alex Jaffe.
I'm Frank Cifaldi.
I'm Tim Rogers.
I'm Brandon Sheffield.
And truly, what else can I say but Squadala! Squadala!
Yeah.
You gotta love it.
I love that Squadala.
It's very fun to hear a guy say it.
It's true.